In this episode, Taylor and I talk about our travels in Taiwan. We cover everything from the food to the jungle to the good, bad, and ugly of collecting flower essences in Asia. Welcome to the Flower Lounge, a place for conversations with wildly creative people and a little plant-loving wisdom to help you experience life in full bloom. I'm Katie Hess, flower alchemist and founder of LOTUSWEI, and I believe in a world where we're all living at our personal edge. Welcome to this week's episode of the Flower Lounge. Joining you here from Taipei, Taiwan, myself and Taylor. We've been traveling throughout Taiwan, and we thought we would record a podcast on just overall the experience here. And we did ask on social media if you all had any questions, and we got a ton of questions. So maybe we can just go through each question one by one. Just as a preface, we're here to collect flowers, and so we've been doing a lot of collecting, and then we've also been working. We've been in Taipei for about a month now. Thanks for being here, Taylor.
Thank you. This has been so much fun. I've never been to Asia, so this is a nice little landing pad for the first time. Feels like home.
We're recording in the middle of a park, so you might hear, hopefully you'll hear some cool noises like insects, birds, cars, scooters far off in the distance, people talking. It's a little quiet here. It's evening as we're recording. Hope you enjoy. First question.
Shay from New York wants to know about the food.
I've been to Taiwan a few times, but I've really, on this trip in particular, like fallen in love with the food more than ever before. Why don't you start? Because it's your first time.
I can tell you my favorite things. I've been obsessed with bamboo. I don't think I've actually ever tried real bamboo. Like you get the hard, crunchy pieces in Thai food restaurants, but
that come from a can, probably.
Yeah. But I've been obsessed with it, and I found that it's a cooling food. So you want to eat it when it's hot outside. You don't want to eat it all the time. It's super humid here, so hopefully that's been helping, keeping us cool. And it comes in all different ways. Like we've had it just as a side or in stews. We even had bamboo soup, which was sort of like miso soup, but instead of miso, it was bamboo. I loved that. I've also been obsessed with black sesame. Had mochi. That's been like the best flavor that we've tried. Black sesame latte. Love that. If you saw on social media, all of the black sesame went to the bottom, so the last sip was just full of grit and put it all over our teeth. So we looked like Japanese royalty.
Yeah, black sesame is supposed to be really good for women in particular. And you've been a huge fan of black fungus.
Yes. What's it called? Elephant?
Wood ear mushroom or elephant ear mushroom?
Yeah, and I don't even like mushrooms, but I can't get enough of those.
They're kind of funky looking things.
We've both been obsessed with passion fruit juice.
Oh my God, especially when we first got here. I think because of flying and traveling, and we had just been like pushing super hard before we came here. My immune system was a little bit bottomed out and was like craving vitamin C. The first 2.5 weeks, I could not get enough passion fruit. And it comes in juices and smoothies and has these little black seeds that I love to crunch up. They're really yummy. It's like sour, but yummy, sour, and tart. What else? The juices are insane. Guava, like white guava, red guava. What other kinds of juices? Grape. Like they have these enormous grapes here, and they make juice out of them.
Dragon fruit,
just brilliant magenta color.
And then we found this really amazing place called Nut Tea. It's basically just plain tea. You can say no sugar. And then, so you get a cup of tea, and then on the top, they just put this amazing nut cream on top. It's like dessert, but
It's kind of like the consistency of like marshmallow fluff. Not that I ever tried it before, but something like that. But it's made out of what? Macadamia nuts, hazelnuts, almonds, cashews, walnuts. It's like a 5-nut blend. It's super thick, and sometimes they add chocolate. It's so yummy. Or you can get fruit juices too, and then have this like thick layer of cream on top. Super addictive. We told them they should come to the US because it would be such a great business.
The first day that we found it, we went there twice because we were just blown away by how good it was.
What else? Lots of cool veggies. Like what stands out most to me vegetable wise is the ferns. There's like little baby mountain ferns, and then like kind of like ramps, and then like bigger, more roughly things. And they tend to like fry those up with like little fried anchovies and chili and these little things that I haven't quite identified, but they seem like in between olives and capers with like a little pit inside, but they're super flavorful. I loved that. Oh my God. And then the clams.
Oh, the clams.
Yeah, we developed an obsession with clams in Elon, in the mountain town over on the east side of the island.
There's a funny story. We were out collecting one day and we just hadn't eaten at all. And we're just like walking through the city that we've never been, trying to find food. We found this really yummy stall on the side of the street and we got some clams. And we were starving, so we just slurped them with our hands and like didn't even use the chopsticks. And there was this family that was sitting next to us and they got up and left. We made eye contact, said goodbye. And then the guy came back and, you know, struck up a conversation with us, but told us that he looked over multiple times during our meal and just laughed and laughed because he didn't think we knew how to use chopsticks.
We just come out of the like mountainside ravenous, probably look like wild animals going at these clams. Yeah, seafood is incredible here. Seafood is everywhere. And rice. I know we hit this place called Sun Mary really hard in the beginning because it's this bakery that I used to just love when we were here. So many yummy bakery things, but unfortunately, I feel like whatever wheat sensitivities I have at home are kind of also here. So about a week ago, we both were like, okay, let's just cut out wheat or try to minimize as much as possible, which is great. It's easy here. So many vegetables. You can get rice anywhere. Oh my God, the fishball soup.
The first lunch that we had was just a super simple fishball soup, but the fish balls had pork inside.
Fish balls, like by the way,
surprise.
If you've never had fish balls, not testicles. It's like a ground fish, like tossed against the wall, I don't know, a million times until they're like rubbery. Like the size of those bouncy balls when you're a kid.
And then just rice and pork, like ground pork. It's the most simple meal, but I could eat it every day.
The one thing I don't like here is what they call chao tofu, which is like stinky tofu soup. It's pretty unanimous, pretty famous actually, and a lot of the night markets will have it, and you'll just be like hit by this wave of like rotten sock soup stench. Like I'm, I can deal. I can roll, with a lot of different things, but man, it's overwhelming.
When it hits you, all you're trying to do is get away or find where it's at and move the opposite direction.
Like zaps your entire system. But I mean, to the defense of the people of Taiwan, years ago, I tried it and I found that as long as I didn't smell it, it tasted great. So I'm sure it tastes great, just as long as you can get past that smell. But there's tons of good food in Taiwan. So thanks, Shay, for that question.
Kate wants to know what it's like, the good and the bad, traveling in the jungle and looking for flowers.
Well, the first time we went into the jungle, something really weird happened where it was supposed to be dry season, and then it was like the rainiest it had been in years. So it was a super rainy week, and we were driving around in the mountain, and it was just like downpouring, and we only had one umbrella, and we had these like little raincoats from home that obviously weren't working. We got drenched. I mean, it was like a beautiful, exquisite experience. And also like, oh shit, flash floods, landslides, rocks falling, edges of the like road falling off.
And the river was black, like black sesame water.
And yeah, we like followed this guy who goes around Taiwan and goes to hot spring sites and waterfalls because we find those places pretty conducive to some pretty unique flowers. And since we went south and they get more rain, the river was just like overwhelmingly like we got off and went down to the riverside at one point off the road, and it was extremely dangerous and freaky. Like on the trail walking down there, like my body was like death, 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 death. Like I was getting the death vibe. And since Taylor and I like to push it just a little far, we just went down by the water's edge just to kind of, it was a good experience. It's like that when you like it's like those people who kind of come right up against a tornado or something. Mm-hmm. Not that I'm in any way looking for trouble, but wow, you could feel the pounding of the water in your heart, and just that acute awareness, like if you slip and fall, like that's it. So that really humbling, wow, like Mother Nature is so powerful, and we're just like little fleas that she could kick off her back if she wanted to. Yeah, so that was one of the, I mean, you could say one of the experiences where I was sort of like beating myself up, like, geez, I should have known. And I didn't know it was a rainy season, but then it turns out it wasn't supposed to be rainy season. And so just overall being flexible to changes. And, I think we always have that experience when we're out, like, are we going to find it? Are we going to find it? Are we going to find it? Oh my God, we didn't find anything. And everything's raining and we can't even get near anywhere. And then what? The mosquitoes for you?
My legs are totally eaten up. And then even just like seeing spiders and the grasses cut up your legs.
Sometimes lack of food.
Yeah, we get so into being out in the wild and just pushing it a little further. Oh, let's go around that corner, and then we'll get around that corner.
And in the moment, it feeds you.
Yeah, it does. But then once you get back to the car, you can barely like function and trying to figure out the map and where we're trying to go, and you can't read anything on a map because it's all in a language you don't know. Trying to use like 3 different map sources that aren't working.
Yeah, we'll flip from like Google Maps to the Maps thing on the iPhone to the Waze to, it's kind of insane.
Yeah. And then this was the first trip that we haven't really researched flowers that we wanted. We knew that Taiwan had over 500 native orchids, wild orchids.
Yeah, I bought that enormous book that weighs like 50 pounds. And luckily I didn't page through it too much and have too high of aspirations because, holy, we asked so many people where we could find orchids. And yeah, we just kind of got dead ends everywhere.
Mm-hmm. We went to the orchid garden here, and they basically told us that orchids don't grow in the wild. Or we'd be in a neighborhood that had
like small vendors.
Yeah. And everyone just kept saying like, no, you're not going to find anything. Like, don't even try because you're not going to find anything.
So yeah, we didn't have a plan. Sometimes we have a plan, sometimes we don't. We've done it like Iceland and in the middle of the plains in the US, we had really specific orchids that we were looking for. So it was this magic of finding what we were looking for. In Costa Rica, we were just kind of up for whatever we would find. And similarly here in Taiwan, we've just been up for whatever we could find and whatever seemed meaningful in the moment. Like butterflies led us there, or dragonflies led us there, or and typically, well, all 3 of the flowers that we collected were around hot springs. That was nice.
Yeah. The next one is the beauty and difficulties of being somewhere and trying to get things done, but you don't speak the language. So what is the beauty and difficulty?
Mm-hmm. I would say one of the biggest sensations of beauty is connecting on such a deep, heartfelt level with people I mean, here in Taiwan, people are super sincere. They don't have, like, for example, culturally, they don't even have in their vocabulary sarcasm. That kind of humor doesn't exist here. And everything is just super sincere. Even when they're giving you your change back, money wise, or handing you a cup of tea, it's always done with two hands, a warm heart, and direct eye contact. And you can feel their essence. It's like palpable. I would say, you know, we've been in a lot of situations where people don't speak any English at all. Had to use the app to translate, or body language, or pointing, or, you know, charades. But the beauty of that is, like, you connect really directly on a heart-to-heart level with people that you normally wouldn't. You know, if you let language be a barrier, you wouldn't be able to have that connection. And of course, it's normal in the beginning. You have a little bit of resistance, and it's like, oh God, I gotta go. But it gets easier, and you just sort of keep pushing yourself. I think even today, where were we? Was that at the World Trade Center? I think I asked like 3 different women, like, hi, do you speak English? And like all 3, like, I was like invisible to them. Like, I literally, there was no one else around. I walked right up to them and spoke right in their ear, and they just like kept walking. So it's really good to build that muscle. And it's when you actually do connect with people, it's just incredible.
I also feel like they're as fascinated with us as we are with them. And so there'll be times where we'll just be like watching someone or, you know, staring at them, and they'll make eye contact. And rather than like it being weird, like, oh, they caught me staring, that was odd, they like engage and they wave and they smile, and or they want you to come over and you know, talk to them. So that's really sweet. It's just super inviting. And then I love the Chinese script. Like, it's so beautiful. So there's so many signs and so many ads, but you can't read them. So it's not noise or distraction. You're not trying to understand what it's saying. You can just look at it, and it's beautiful. So I love that.
Yeah, the only characters that I remember are from when I used to study Chinese are like mountain, forest, moon, sun, heart. So it's like just beautiful to see that and not have to translate it into, you know, like billboards like at home, distracting your view.
We've both been using Google Translate a lot too. That helps. It's really fun. You can take a photo of a sign and it'll translate it for you. Or if you know the word in English, you can type it out and show the phone to the person. And it's just fun, like a different type of communication.
Mm-hmm.
If you really, really need to, you know, ask a question or ask for directions. We've been lost a few times. Helped us out.
Yeah. I think that's, I mean, from hearing old stories, I think that's pretty natural. And like when you get different people of different Chinese languages or dialects together, they would draw the character on the ground because the characters were the same, even if the dialect or the pronunciation was different. So it's kind of funny that now we have the apps and we're like showing them the characters.
Jane wants to know about the process of collecting flower elixirs. Just want to talk about that.
Yeah, so we select a place that we feel will be special, wild, free of people, and hopefully, if we're lucky, it's on full moon or new moon, which in our case it worked out really well. State of mind is the most important, and so, you know, just us being really calm and getting enough sleep and having enough water and being balanced is really important. And then like this trip, we've just looked. Like the first location we went to, a hot springs area that was near a river, and we just river traced for a while. Like river tracing meaning walking up the river's edge or through the water and sort of just waiting until something hits, like something seems particularly meaningful, or like the first time, was it the dragonflies or the damselflies were kind of leading the way to those red flowers that were up on a cliff. They were only in that one area. They were super high. We had to bring one down with a stick. and then this other patch of purple flowers that was only in this one spot where the water was rushing, and it felt like there was just this incredibly powerful presence where those flowers were. So just that's like an example of, I don't know, it's just like, sort of like I do when I get to a place, I touch the ground and I'm like, show me, something that's special. Show me something that I can make an essence of that can benefit people here in Taiwan and who can benefit all the people that we're in touch with. So nuts and bolts wise, it helps to have sun, and typically it's in the morning, pure water, flower growing in the ground, flower at its full bloom point, making offerings to the plant, asking permission, collecting the flower, letting it infuse in sunlight, taking tons of notes, just asking directly to the plant or the earth to show me or teach me and somehow make it clear to me what it magnifies and dissolves in the language to use with the people that I will serve. And then we make the offerings, if we've cut the flower, we make the offering back to the place. Usually it's 1 or 2 or 3 flowers, so it doesn't kill any plants. And then we add the alcohol and bottle it up, and away we go.
The next question is, how long does a mother essence last?
Oh, I should mention too that Taylor is zooming around the whole time, taking photos, videos, documenting the whole process, which is really important because, aside from like feeling the essence inside of you, it's really great to be able to see like pictures and close-ups and what does it look like in the color and how do you feel when you look at the photo, because the photography captures the energetic imprint of that flower. So props to you. What was the question?
How long does a mother essence last?
Ooh, I mean, if you take really good care of it, you don't put it in the sun, it's like, we have it like locked away in a dark place with no sunlight and no, people aren't allowed to go there. It's very like sacred place. I mean, it could last 10,000 years. You could pass it on to your children as a generational gift. I mean, unless you run out, it'll last for a really long time.
What is particularly special about wildlife in Taiwan than other parts of the world you've been to?
It's funny. Okay, so before we get to that question, I'll just say that there's something cool about Taiwan that's similar to other places that we've been into lately, which I like, in that it's an island. It has geothermal activity. It's luscious and jungly. I don't know. I'm just like super obsessed with geothermal activity. So like
Steam vents,
Iceland,
hot springs,
yeah,
bubbling mud pots.
We kind of got into it when we went to Iceland and then Yellowstone and Costa Rica. And so that part of Taiwan is similar to where we've been recently. And I love that. It's also what makes it like really special and unique to me. But I would say specifically Taiwan, the number one thing for me is, wow, just the experience of like how incredibly breathtaking the jungle is. Like the way the plants grow in the mountains is insane. It's like when I used to study Chinese painting and see the old Chinese paintings of like the blue, like the different shades of blues and greens in the mountains, and the way they were sort of like the shape. It's like not like any mountain I've ever seen before. And it's just like literally breathtaking without exaggeration. Like the first time we went to Miami, it was like, like I just was taken by the insane beauty of it. What would you say? Anything that you've seen that stood out to you? Ooh, besides the gentleness. Yeah. It's like a really gentle place. Yeah. Like versus Costa Rica, where there's like, I mean, there are some poisonous snakes here, but no jaguars or panthers or...
Yeah, it feels safe and friendly. And then I think just like it being a different culture too is like, even though you're in the jungle, you can still feel the different culture there. And like we were talking about it earlier, all the flowers that we've seen, like shell ginger and royal poinciana and
bamboo, spider lily,
which also says a lot about the place too.
Right. And I think that in the Far East, there's always been this like really deep reverence for nature and symbology. And I mean, like just listening to when we went to go evaluate this retreat space, listening to Albert talk about like, you know, bamboo and the significance, and it represents this season, and it's like notched. It's got those joints. So it's like representing giving something to your children so that your family moves up the ladder of success and abundance. So like you see the elements of nature woven into architecture and to, you know, design, and it's just, there's an incredible reverence for nature here.
Yeah, appreciation and like protection too. Like you see roots of trees just like spilling onto the roads here, and even in the jungles, there's just like everything is built into. You don't really see a lot of jungle just like totally taken out. It's plopped in and protected, and
they never cut down trees here. They have a huge respect for trees. It's not like in the US, oh my God, that's like one of my pet peeves is a small word, but like it drives me insane when I see people cut down trees unnecessarily in the US. And here there's such a deep respect for trees. And in some of the villages, you can actually see where they mark. It's like a red flat, like a piece of cloth, when it's the mother or the grandmother or the grandfather tree, like the biggest, oldest one that's looking after and taking care of all the rest of the trees and the environment and the community. That, you know, someone in the community actually has the capacity to identify the oldest, wisest, most ancient tree, and they respect that. It's kind of insane.
And even in the city, like the park we're in right now, there's, I mean, you don't even feel like you're in the city. There's so many trees. There's like little ponds, and there's turtles and a bunch of birds. And in the morning, you see hundreds of people doing Tai Chi and practices with like moving with the aura of trees. And so even in the city, you're getting that connection with nature.
Yeah, it's like there's a huge emphasis put on developing your inner, it's like cultivating your inner world versus external. So rather than like, what do I look like and what do people see in me and what's my body like and how's my physique and, you know, what
kind, my aging.
Yeah, all that stuff. It's more like, am I cultivating chi? Am I cultivating strength, virtuousness? Am I cultivating inner power? Not like how big muscles do I have, but can I cultivate like a really powerful aura? This is such a different perspective and has a lot to do with nature. So I think, you know, that affects everything.
Have we worked with any guides or locals that pointed us in a particular helpful direction for our flower search? No.
Short answer, no. Yeah, I mean, there have been a couple folks online that we've looked at for assistance to help find hot springs, wild hot springs. When you say hot springs here in Taiwan, it's usually like this building or the bathhouse or the whatever, and they pipe in the hot springs. But we like wild hot springs. But yeah, not really for helping us find flowers. We haven't found like a botanist or, yeah, no.
Gina asks, how do you know where to look for the flowers?
Here we used hot springs as a marker. Just, you know, different temperatures, different like steam rising, mineral makeup, in hopes that that would create an environment for something special. Also like an opening for it, because the jungle here is super dense. Like you'd need a machete or something, and yeah, it's insane. So like you kind of need it to be a little bit open, but not where lots of people are. So for this trip, we've used hot springs and the river as a destination. Anything you would add?
I mean, here there are tons and tons of waterfalls and hot springs. So really just using like what hot spring excites us the most, and just looking at them and feeling in our bodies like what one feels like the right one. And so far it's worked. The first time, or the first trip that we went out, it rained a bunch, but still like it was super special, even though we didn't collect anything. and it felt like, oh, we didn't even make it to where we wanted to go, it was still really meaningful.
And it was like an initiation. I mean, it rained hard. And so I was just, dedicating that to our own purification and ability to find what was next in a really clear way. Hot springs I like because it's like Mother Earth, like bubbling up from the core. And then waterfalls typically because it's, good nature spirits around waterfalls typically.
Enough mist in the air for the orchids.
Yeah, and we actually didn't find any orchids. Super hard to find. I saw some, but none that were blooming, just leafies. But the wildflowers are really pretty. Mm-hmm. Other than that, have we seen any other flower collectors? We haven't. Lots of people hike here. Tons of people hike. Oh my gosh. It's a huge culture of hiking. We climbed up a big mountain the other day, 2 days ago. And it took us like a good couple hours, and it's all stepped out. They had stones that you could go up the side of the mountain, but holy, it was pretty insane.
Yeah. And then we went up to a waterfall, and like people in their 80s were hiking up to the waterfall and like climbing on rocks to get photos to post on Facebook. It was so cute, but it's, you see little kids and people pretty old hiking up to these beautiful spots.
Yeah, and then the mountain a couple days ago, we saw that guy coming down barefoot, just like hopping down like a little mountain goat. That was pretty amazing. And then I think, is that the last question? Mm-hmm. We just wanted to mention some of the flowers that we've seen here, especially in the park too. Hong Kong Orchid, which is for expanding into the fullest expression of yourself, not being afraid to be seen or heard, and really embracing all aspects of yourself and being kind and gentle to yourself. That flower is found in Infinite Love. It originates from Hong Kong, but we're an hour's flight from Hong Kong, so it's clear it would be here.
The reflexology path that we walked on a lot while we were here, there was a Hong Kong orchid tree right by it, so the petals and some full flowers would fall onto the path, which was really cool because you see people like really going at it on their feet, and for someone who hasn't really done it, you'd think like, oh, I'm gonna try to do what they're doing, but in order for you to not hurt yourself, you have to be gentle with yourself. So that was a nice little reminder, like just from the tree falling above right onto the path.
We've also seen some royal poinciana here and there. It's like flame of the forest. It's like real bright colored flower. And that's for asking for what you want in a really clear way and feeling like worthy and deserving to get what it is that you want. Interestingly, somebody wrote to me and was like, she's just had so many good experiences with that elixir. I thought that was ironic because there's so much around here. What else do we see? A lot of bamboo. Oh my God, so many different varieties of bamboo, from like the tough version that grows up on the side of the mountains that can withstand the winds to this like really thin kind of willowy kind where the tops sway in the wind, and it's just like, wow, just watching it relaxes every muscle in your body. Bamboo is for making the impossible possible, determination, perseverance. Anytime you feel like, oh, I don't know if I can do it. Can I do it? Can I do it? I can't do it. Yes, I can do it.
Not comparing yourself with others.
What else have we seen a lot of?
Shell ginger in the wild, like cascading from the mountains. It's been everywhere.
What's that for?
I don't know. What is it for?
Shell ginger is for creativity, and it's also for like seeing things into reality rather than like magnetizing or manifesting. It's kind of like manifesting, but it's like seeing really clearly how something could play out in a really creative way. And as you see it, it can unfold in the way that you see it. What else have we seen? Ginger lily. We've seen both, like the white kind and then another variety that looks like there's a little spider web in the middle. And that's for releasing burdens and lightening your load and feeling really lighthearted and joyful. It's like when you look at your to-do list and you're like, oh my God, it's so heavy. I have so many things to do. It just like, poof, gone. Makes it easy.
Makes you feel like every day's Friday.
Exactly.
Like, I did it. I finished.
What else have we seen?
Night blooming cereus, which was really cool to see cactus flowers blooming in the jungle, like waterlogged cactus flowers.
Yeah, and they're like slightly different than the one we have in the desert. They're like this like tropical climbers that like climb up walls, and they're kind of wild looking. Yeah. I'm not sure how similar their essence is to the one we use, but I imagine it's similar. The night blooming cereus essence that we use from the desert is about like taking a huge leap towards your full potential. So rather than like baby steps, it's like very quickly removing any types of self-limiting fears or limitations that might be holding you back, and just like pushing you forward, encouraging you forward. Oh yeah, and then in the city we've actually seen a lot of papaya. I haven't seen it out in the jungle, but I've seen it a lot growing in the city. Mm-hmm. Papayas for having a deeper understanding of feminine and masculine and collaboration instead of competition, like refining your intuitive sensitivity. It's good for like establishing whether or not there's compatibility in relationships. Papaya is a good one for, yes, if you're like, am I in the right relationship? Are we compatible? Even like, am I in the right career job relationship? You take the flower essence and then it becomes either really clear that yes, compatible and much more compatible than you thought, or it just like easily dissolves.
And ironically, a lot of these flower elixirs are in the full bloom collection, which I don't know about you, but that's the one that I haven't reached for to use. So when you're around the flowers, you might not need to take their essence because you soak up and then, it's giving it to you directly. So that was kind of interesting putting that together.
Yeah. True. Yeah, I've been using Gamechanger a lot. For some reason in like hot, humid climates, I'm like in love with the scent. And also I just think like traveling can be, we post like beautiful photos on social and it looks great, but it can be pretty stressful and you're just on the go all the time, and there's no like Saturday, Sunday, there's no day off. You're working from the moment you get up until the moment you go to sleep, managing both what you're doing. Like we're managing both like collecting flowers and being out in the wild and trying to find places, and oh my gosh, now we have to find an Airbnb. We're here. Okay, where are we going to stay? And we're lost on the side of a mountain and it's raining and this old lady has to come pick us up and she doesn't speak any English. Let's work that one out. So there's stuff like that mixed with, oh my gosh, we have to like keep the business going back at home and like maintain our, duties and responsibilities for back home. So it's kind of like juggling a lot of different things. So Gamechanger, I think, has helped a lot just to sort of like, make it easy. Just like bounce around from activity to activity and make it easy. Mm-hmm. What do you think?
Agreed. We've also been working on a really, really cool meditation program.
Yes.
It's been a really fun project while we were here.
Yeah, very excited. Should I talk about it? Yeah. So it's like an aural, AURAL meditation program, like meditation on sound and listening and very short, simple mindful awareness practices mixed with audio recordings, like a tour through some of our favorite places in Taipei and Taiwan. So we like literally brought you with in our pockets. And if you are either, I would think one of two reasons that you would be into this program. One, you like meditation, or you think you'd like it or like to do it more, and you could just use some like super simple practices. Listen in your headphones on your phone and do when you have time. Super simple practices that you can't find anywhere else that could be life-changing if you practice them regularly. Or you're the kind of person who loves to travel, or you have aspirations to travel. Maybe you have or haven't been to Taiwan before, maybe you haven't been to the Far East or Asia and you just want to know what it feels like. Like, what does it feel like? What does it sound like to be at a night market or a day market or walking through the park or through the jungles, like deep in the jungles and all these crazy insects, or walking on the street, or, listening to conversations in a language you don't understand. So one of those two reasons might interest you. In this 7-day program, we're going to email out one specific instruction and audio recording each day for a full week. And each of the instructions are, I can say, very different, like very different emphasis, unique approach. And I'm really proud of this program. It's super simple. We just have been working on it in the last couple of weeks, but one of the reasons I really like it is because it's crazy. It's cool, like to hear all those different sounds. And it's also super powerful. If it's something that you can practice in your own environment at home and your daily life, it can deeply, deeply, deeply enrich your experience of the present moment. Because, we're on our devices a lot. We're distracted. We're monkey mind thinking. We think we can figure everything out by thinking. And so we need like actual practices to be in the present. It's like, it's like when people say, just be present or be in the now, it drives me crazy, because it's like, well, you need a method to get there, to experience the present moment. And so these are just really simple methods you can do anywhere, anytime, to bring you into the present moment. And it's such a richer experience when you're hearing 360 degrees of sounds. Really, really brings you into the present moment. I know from myself, I don't want to get to my deathbed and be like, what did I do with my life? Like I wasn't fully present, or I was just scrolling on social media, or it just makes me really acutely aware of the now and how rich the now is. And the more we can remind ourselves and trigger ourselves into the now, and then the sounds become your anchor or your trigger to get into the now. So there are practices that awaken inside of you triggers to bring you into the now. What's the most interesting part about the program to you, or what's been the most fun putting it together?
I really loved, there's this one restaurant that we went to that all the workers were irritated and the people there were irritated, and you don't understand what they're saying, but they're not super happy. And they're yelling from across the restaurant, and you're just trying to enjoy your meal. So we recorded the sound, and it's so easy to just take on that irritation and be like, oh my God, they're so loud. They should be more professional than this. But taking that and using it as your practice is just totally shifts the way, your state of mind instantly. As soon as you realize, oh, I can just take it in. I can just listen to what's going on versus having it penetrate and affect me. And I think we all have that in daily life all the time. When you're on the bus, when you're in a store, when you're driving and there's traffic, there's so many you're being bombarded with all of this distraction and irritation and annoyance. So for me, it's really helpful to actually have a technique versus having someone just say, just be with it. There's actually a technique that you can use that is tangible and real and easy to use in so many different situations.
Right. And I think the more exactly what you're saying, and what that specific teaching is training us to do, is to have less resistance to anything and everything that pops up in our life. So the annoyance and the irritation, it's actually coming from within if we create a resistance or a rub to it. And so starting with just something as simple as noises, like maybe you live in New York City or DC or Phoenix, and you got lots of loud noises, or people shouting, or somebody in your family likes to listen to the TV really loud, or I don't know, it's just stuff like that if you can relax your resistance to it, then it trains the mind to relax resistance to anything and everything that challenges us, and just helps us embrace and welcome, even from within. Like if there's something about ourselves that we don't like, or an experience that's really uncomfortable, it trains us to welcome it and welcome it and welcome it and be with the richness that's there, versus creating tension in our bodies. So we're really excited to share that with you. And thanks for listening to this episode. It's a little different than usual. Let us know your feedback. If you like this type of podcast, we'll do another one in Singapore and any other place that we travel. Is there anything else you want to add? Or any insights come to mind?
So we've been coming to this park almost every day, and I don't work out at home, but this park is so special, and there's so many people here, you know, doing Tai Chi and walking on the reflexology paths and doing gua sha with the bars. So we've learned a lot of different things just by watching people go about their morning routine. And one practice that we've done is, once we've gotten our heartbeat going, we'll just sit and meditate on our heartbeat. So when it's like really beating really hard, it's, you know, really easy to listen and feel it, but it goes away pretty quickly. So placing your awareness on your actual heartbeat, it's really powerful.
Yeah, so we are making that practice available. And then we also came out with a really cool video that shares our whole movement routine. So lots of like free stuff. And then the meditation program's super low cost, so that everybody can enjoy it. So yeah, check out the movement routine on YouTube that we put together from all our different movement exercises in the park. Thanks for supporting us. Thank you so much for listening to the Flower Lounge. I'm Katie Hess, and we'll be releasing a new podcast every Wednesday. If you like what you heard, or you know someone who might be touched by our conversation, share it with them. And don't forget to subscribe. To find out what your favorite flowers mean about you, take the quiz at LOTUSWEI.com.